He's is my big one, only because I'm very worried about kids. A lot of my kids that I saw in practice, if they came in with just the chief complaint, whether it was nausea or vomiting, sore throat, pneumonia, something really kind of, and they were really little, I always followed up with them in a week, just to make sure, or 48, 72 hours, just to make sure, like, are we moving in the right direction with you? Do I need to, you know, so you can follow up on just basic chief complaints of like sore throat, headache, nausea, vomiting. That's absolutely, actually awesome, because you're making sure your patient, are you getting better? Are you getting better? But again, a follow-up can be for medication follow-up. I need medications. I need a refill. A lot of times, I don't feel comfortable just calling in refills for a person. I'll be like, especially if it's something kind of scary or I haven't seen them in a while, I'll be like, you need to make an appointment to see me for that. Heck, you've probably experienced that yourself if you ever called somebody and said, can you refill my birth control? No, I haven't seen you in 6 months. You need to come in and see me. You will have a note for that. But it's focused. Again, you will still actually also have a chief complaint. But you're like, well, what's a chief complaint if they're coming in for a medication? Usually what I do, and I wrote it out in the second one, you can actually, and this is just my opinion, Nikki can throw hers in, I'll write out, because they really don't have a chief complaint. I'll write out medication follow-up or follow-up on shortness of breath, I'll write out whatever it is. You'll still have an HPI. You will address additional components as need, if you need to. This is what we were saying. You don't have to go through the stinking family history, social history, past medical history. You don't have to go through any of that business again unless you think you need to or something tips you off. And those are techniques and skills you'll develop when you get out to be a provider, something that, but just know for right now, what I want you to know is you don't have to go through all those things again. They are shorter visits. Realistically, in my clinic, it was 15-minute visits. So you can see how you couldn't go stinking through 50 million physical exam components and review of systems. Focused physical exam, you have to do the physical exam component that's pertinent to the visit. So if they are wanting, they're following up on diabetes, do whatever physical exams you need for that. If they're there for a referral because, you know what, I have really bad gout and I need to get into a rheumatologist, do a physical exam that's for that. But then add in whatever physical exam components, like some general ones. And I've told some of you guys this, I think all of you actually. I have my general ones that I always do on my patient. I don't care if they're coming in for a toenail removal, a referral, or just to say hi to me. I always do what's in parentheses every single time. I've always listened to heart and lungs. And again, this is the other thing a student was asking us about the Good Shepherd, and that's why I sound that focused. You don't have to go through all the heart junk that we taught you, or all the lung junk. We're just talking heart. Okay, let me listen to the lungs, back. It's focused. You can do it extremely quick once you get better at doing it. I always listen to abdomen while they're and just palpate it real quick. I don't know, I just do it. I always feel lymph nodes. I look in their ears. I open their mouth. Hey, open your. I don't actually. I'll admit it. I don't check eyes. It's not my go-to. I always look at people's lower extremities, and then I look at their hands, and then I do their. That's just my. I don't know why, but that's my go-to. I do it because that's actually a pretty comprehensive physical exam, and you got to chart so many components in your physical exam boxes to get paid. You can't just do derm, skin section, and be like, okay, that chart's done. They will flag you back and be like, you didn't do heart. I mean, they will. Because we had this instance come up at Good Shepherd where students like, I didn't even do that physical exam. You have to do it. Okay. Assessment at this time, if you've gotten all your labs back, you've gotten your imaging back, your assessment is assessment/diagnosis. This is the same thing. You're going to have a definitive at that point, right? I got all your stuff back, I reviewed it. Yep, you have COPD. That wheezing and shortness of breath that you've had for 6 months, it is COPD.
So like the initial visit, your assessment would be wheezing, shortness of breath. When they came back, you got your labs back, you got your x-ray back, your assessment would be COPD.
And that's essentially it's a verbatim what's in that note. That assessment is, and that is a real, that's how I would write that note.
And that's why it gets a little confusing when you guys mesh it together. You know, so now we're having you do an assessment and then a differential diagnosis. But in real life, you have one chart would say, one note would say wheezing, and that follow-up note would say COPD.
Because again, like I've told you, and I've tried to teach you, and it's right the way I taught you, you don't know what they have. I'm like, man, I have no idea why you're having chest pain. It could be a GERD, it could be freaking a heart, I don't know, I gotta do some stuff. That's when follow-up visits are extremely important. Are there instances where you're gonna walk out of the room and be like, this lady has a stench, they have strep throat. I'm gonna get a strep swab. Yeah, you have strep throat. Yeah,
And then
sure.
the diagnosis or assessment would be strep throat
Yeah.
for that first visit.
Yeah, there's always gonna be ones that you walk away and you're like, yeah, I'm good, you're good, you're good. But, depending on what you're going to, most of them are not. You're gonna be like, I don't really know what's going on with you today. I gotta do some business before I slap something definitive on your chart. So the second example is a follow-up note example of how a follow-up visit would go with your SPBL. All you do at this point is walk in the room and go over a plan of care. Right, essentially, like, but this is how it would really go down. I didn't put everything back in this note only because I was like, God, this is taking for to top all this out. But, okay, so let's look at this HPI. Because this is where I think the Good Shepherd things is it's kind of hard for some folks. So chief complaint, there's not really a chief complaint. I'm following you up for what I saw you last time, right? So I put in there, shortness of breath, cough, and wheeze. I just threw in some little extra flair for you. I just put husband is present with patient follow-up visit. I type that in if somebody's in the room with the patient, that's just what I do. So look at this HPI. Patient's 55-year-old Caucasian female, visits the clinic for follow-up on shortness of breath, medication initiation, because I started her on albuterol 2 weeks ago, and lab imaging review. Patient states that since last month minutes, her shortness of breath is improved with the use of the albuterol inhaler. I talked about the albuterol, how much is she using it? Is it helping your symptoms? Because when you start a medication, you want to, is this even working? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Are you having any negative side effects from that medication? ADR is adverse drug reaction. I apologize. I told her to keep a blood pressure diary at my last visit. Patient reports that she brought the blood pressure diary with her. Recordings are in books. States that systolic has ranged from 155 to 180 and diastolic ranged from 85 to 95. You essentially talk about whatever the heck you told her to do in your last plan of care. Otherwise, patient states that she's doing well, has continued to walk her dog, reports that with albuterol she's up to 3 miles per day, period. And HPI can be 4 sentences if it needs to be, by the way. And this is what you encounter a lot at Good Shepherd, a lot. In our example, our HPI for our follow-up visit for a lady turned out being a whole other complete HPI because she didn't do any of the stuff we told her to do last time. She didn't get her meds. She didn't do one of her imaging. She's like, I don't know, they never called me. I didn't do it. That's what your HPI technically kind of is. Because you can't talk about, do those meds help? As your blood pressure. You talk about, well, patient reports she did not pick up her medications. Patient states that she was not contacted in order to get CT scan ordered. I kept the past medical, you can see all that there. The physical exam, again, I didn't include it, but it would be my go-to. And that's my go-to, what I wrote out for you. And that's really what I do each time. So now my assessment, because I've reviewed her pulmonary function tests, I reviewed her chest x-ray, and I say, all this is my plan of care. You have COPD, man. I reviewed everything back, and I am going to put COPD in your chart.
So now this is where you can put in your assessment what the patient didn't tell you in your follow-up. Because like you couldn't tag COPD in your assessment in the initial thing, because that's not what the patient gave you, right?
Well, I
Your
don't,
assessment can only-
I could diagnose it, because I didn't know, she just came in with shortness of breath and wheezing.
No,
I'm sorry.
that was a bad example, I guess,
Okay.
but in general, like, you can't, anything that you found, you can't put in your assessment, right? Besides like a past, never mind.
No, I wanna make sure we get this, it's because I'm done.
I'll have to come up with a better example.
So you're saying like in that first visit, if
We
she
found high
told
blood
me I
pressure.
have hypertension,
Right, so she
so on
told
that
you, you
second
can
visit, do I
put it-
still list hypertension again?
Yeah, well, I mean, you would, right, never mind, I'll
You
think of a
can.
better example.
You
anyway,
can,
'cause that's-
sure, you can put their comorbidities every time if you want to.
If you're
But
addressing it.
That's right, it's usually only when you're addressing it, so, this may not answer, but, so if in the initial visit, she's like, I'm pretty sure I have hypertension, I used to take a medication, I don't know what the name of it is. I still put hypertension, you actually wouldn't even, I actually kind of food bar that, you could actually, there's an ICD-10 for elevated blood pressure, meaning you, I don't know your diagnoses yet, your blood pressure today is 185/97, you tell me you have a history of it, you potentially could. So hypertension would go in that assessment. The follow-up visit or anything after that, I don't have to list all their comorbidities again in the assessment unless I address it.
And now you can tag in their actual diagnosis to your follow-up visit.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Did that answer that?
Yeah,
Kind of. If it
no,
comes,
yeah, I'll think of
Okay.
a better one, cause.
come and find me or
Yeah.
come ask me.
Yeah.
So on this one, COPD, I kept her journal. Yeah, you got essential hypertension. I don't think it's secondary, because I got back some of your results, and I don't, if you know some of the causes of secondary hypertension, you don't really have those. It's essential. I'm gonna tag that on there. You're still hypoxic though, and I'm gonna put that still on your chart, because there's actually an ICD-10 for hypoxia, because she's still at room air at 89%. You still have expiratory wheezes on your physical exam, and I'm gonna put that on there. And that is verbatim, the ICD, it's on examination, wheezing, expiratory. There's actually one for inspiratory. Do you have to list all those things? No. It's just a complete chart, it just makes your chart more complete.
And you can bill for a higher level. So
And
you
you
guys
can
will
bill
learn
for-
that down the line.
So you don't see differential diagnoses this time, because there's not one, I got it figured out. So my plan, and you obviously can tell, I'm trying to just tell you without writing it all out. You would speak about the results of all the tests ordered. You can do it here, but usually you do it in your, or I did, I would have pinned my original note and talk about all the tests that I ordered. And then if there were some real biggies or pertinence, I put it in the follow-up note as well. But at my clinic, you had to have your note finished and signed within, like, let's say 48 hours. You may not even get your lab results back until a week later. So where are you gonna put it? It's got, and I usually would just append my note. You can append it and then put your stuff back in there. Which that's minor details, but you know, I want you to understand, where does that go? Where do I put lab results at when they come back 5 days later? Because again, like the SPBLs, you don't get them back in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or however it is when she shoots them to you. You can append your original, but you can also talk about them in your follow-up as well. It's totally appropriate. So that's what number 1 says. Speak about results of all tests ordered. Also, I wrote this in here. I'm really big on getting people's records. If they've been to the ER, they have a primary care doctor, if they were seen by somebody since I've seen them last, I go get all those records. And I talk about them in my plan of care and I compare them to whatever I ordered.
I have a question.
Yes.
As a provider who wants those, I mean, do you seek out that information or do you usually have your MA do it?
I use honest both.
Okay.
It just depends. If I'm really like worried about it, I can try to do it myself if it's complicated. But in order to help you and save time, you can go out to your MA or whoever's helping you and say, hey, I'm doing an ER follow-up on this kid. Would you call Children's ER right now and have them fax that visit over to my office right now so I can review them? You don't always get it, but that's a great question. There are also some instances, and I put this in the original note, you have to have your patient, in some instances, sign a medical release information form to get stuff from them. But most of the time, you can go and get people's records and they don't, because you're a provider. That's a great question. So at number 3, I would start her on more than just her albuterol. Put her on some spring, whatever, medication to address the condition. I would speak about, your hypertension a little bit more. Yep, we've already, now that I got your stuff back, I did an EKG on you, make sure you don't have a heart block. I'm gonna start you on something for your blood pressure. This is where you talk about it. If you want to do referrals, you talk about it, blah, blah, blah. You get the gist of it. Does that, and again, this is just specific for this type of visit. Does that make sense? Does it clear up confusion? I'm serious, like speak now, because I feel bad when we're out in the mix and I hear students who are like, I don't understand this, I don't understand what, we don't do it like this or how. This is your opportunity. I know you're tired, but that's, I want to help, we want to help you get this figured out.
Because I think the biggest part, in our second years had it, second years had issues creating an HPI. Like, they didn't know what questions to ask or how, you're basically getting a story of what's going on. And that's why we use the Big 8 to help you facilitate that. But you're right, so if you don't have anything going on, it's kind of hard, you don't know what questions to ask. But now you know for diabetes, what do you want to know about their diabetes? Is it well controlled? How are their sugars, what are their numbers, what are they taking their medications? Are they having any hypoglycemia, those kinds of things? And you would ask that in their HPI.
And this is a Good Shepherd. I think I wrote this in that document that I put together for you guys to give you some guidance on Good Shepherd. But I've said this to the people that wrote are with me. The best way to be prepared for any visit, whether it's I've never seen you before, or even your own stinking note for that matter, or if it's a new patient, whatever, take 10 minutes, if you have it, review their last note, or last 2 notes, 3 notes. How many ever notes you have 2? If you will go look at the last note and look at the plan of care that whoever saw and whatever, that is like a cheat sheet for you to be prepared at Good Shepherd and know what to print it out. I literally print it out and I go, so last time you were here, they were going to refer you to get a pulmonary function test. Did you do that? No, I haven't done that yet. Okay, there, number 1, I know whatever I deal with, I got to deal with that today as well. Number 2, they started you on these medications. How's that going? In our instance, the lady's like, I never got those. Okay. Always review. I do this in even my practice. It will help you in clinical rotation as well, especially when you're on inpatient medicine, because you're going to have a resident or attending that's going to say, here's your list of patients. You have 7 patients this morning. It's 5:30 a.m. You have to be back in the team room at 8 a.m. I want you to go pull out their charts. I want you to round on these patients, essentially. So you're going to go ahead and pull out their chart. And again, that's why I want you to do this, because nobody taught us this when we were in school. You have to go pull out that chart, review it, go in the room, and go visit them. Come back out and write a note over and present it to the team.
In a timely manner.
In a timely manner. So the best way to cheat, go look at the last note. It can kind of help you. At least you better figure out, follow up on those things. So a really good thing with Good Shepherd, because they are hard, look at their stuff before you go in the room. If you are able to get into their charts the night before, I would highly suggest you take 10, 15 minutes to do that. I even do it myself, just so I'm
But they
prepared.
won't know what patient they're getting on the next day, that's only.
Oh, I apologize. I thought they sent the list out to you, I'm sorry.
No, but if you get there at 9 or 8:30, you can do that 30 minutes before.
We usually do whenever Dr.
Okay, good,
that patient.
good.
That's what we do until the patient gets ready.
Okay, awesome. At least just look at the last note if you can.
Because unfortunately, it may say follow-up, but it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
So then it's like a new visit.
That's not,
So
when
that's
they
what
write that on
happens
there, they're
to you guys
those are
too.
not follow-ups.
Right. They're not legit.
We had a lady that had not been there in a year. I was like, how does he say follow-up from what?
Mhm.
I asked Anya that, and if it was like, if they've just been seen before, if it says follow-up, or, I don't know.
It's like, at OU, if you're not seen every, like say, after 3 years, you're considered a new patient again. So if they call, make an appointment, they have a new patient approved. Or if it's been a year, it takes a little bit longer because they haven't been there a year.
And now put that in your thing. They'll say, established care. You're like, okay, I'm ready to go in there full guns a-blazing. Not sore throat times 48 hours.
Right.
Usually, a good EMA or whoever's scheduling, and they're not that great usually, they will try to write it out for you. Which, FYI, here's another little tidbit, and we were talking about this other Good Shepherd. You can go in and change that chief complaint. And I would highly suggest you do that if you ever feel like it's not indicative of what you're really seeing them for. If it's not really a follow-up, go in there and change it, say patient, you know what I'm saying? It just makes better documentation. Okay, guys, I know we're done. Any